Hey, it's OC Food Diva, and we're here at the Gourmandise School here in Santa Monica Place, Santa Monica, California, for a holiday baking class. So we're going to go in and check it out. We're going to learn how to cut sugar cookies, rolling a Yule log, and some other things. So you're going to check that out. So let's go in and check it out.
Hi, welcome. We're talking about holiday cookies. So I've got a sugar cookie dough here, and I'm going to take it and put it between two sheets of parchment paper here. And this is why we were born with tips, so you could lock parchment paper in place. And then between two sheets of parchment, you roll out your dough, like so. There we go. And don't worry if it scooches out, so just pick it up. Else. And then you freeze this sheet of even dough, and you can do this months ahead of time. Pop it in your freezer on a cookie sheet so it freezes really flat, and then when you're ready to bake off the cookies, you pick this up, you peel off the top parchment paper, you cut out your cookies from the frozen flat thing of dough, and you bake them off. You don't have to flour your counter. You can make this so far ahead of time. So if you were doing a business out of this, or you had a bakery, you would start making holiday cookie dough this week for the holidays. So my next step would be to take this. This is called a half sheet pan. If you're replacing your cookie sheet, and we're big believers here in not having a lot of kitchen gadgets. Like everything that you see in a chef's kitchen is super basic. And that's in part because in commercial kitchens, you're not allowed to have gadgets where bacteria can get caught. And it typically takes the place of good technique. So what we like to do is just stress the simple, good ingredients and tools that you find in bakeries when you want in your home kitchen. This is called a half sheet pan. It's not gold plated, it's not non-stick, it's not super thick and dark. It is a classic light colored aluminum pan, which is just perfect for your cookies and cakes and brownies because it doesn't reflect heat very good. So if you're making brownies in a dark pan, the edges are going to taste burnt and the butter might be undercooked. So you want to use light colored aluminum when you're baking especially. So I would pop this like this and then into the freezer. And then, within an hour, hi, welcome. It's frozen solid, you can punch out your cookies. And you bake them at 350 until the edges of the cookies are just lightly golden. And one thing you will never see in a bakery is a cooling rack for cookies or a special cookie spatula. You let things finish cooking and cooling on the cookie sheet. So whenever you're filling a bag, put your hand in, and it over. And I put a little tip in here. This is called a coupler. There's a mummy part and bag part. You put the coupler inside here. Then you put the tip on, like this, and then you close it. This allows you to change out the tip without having to change out the whole bag. But if you don't have one, grab a Ziploc freezer bag and fill it first, then cut a tiny, tiny hole and use that. Right? Use what you've got at home. Don't overthink it. And then I'll also show you how to do this without a piping bag. Okay? All right, so when you're filling a piping bag, you fold it over halfway first, and then you fill it like this. And if you're concerned about things coming out, twist it at the bottom, and then fill it. So that is what I use for piping and for doing decorations on top of flooding icing. So I'll take half of my icing here, I'll put it in a separate bowl and add water to it. See how that's really loose and fluid? So that, and as it sits, it actually gets a little bit bigger, so I'm going to add a touch of water. So when you're doing flooding icing, like this, just to coat things before you decorate on top, you get it nice and loose, and then you pick up a cookie, and you dip it just a touch. Pick it up, you want to shake it real well, and then barely sort of cover with a bowl. It's basically your primer. There we go. And then place it right there. Once it's hardened and dried, then you can go back over it and do some more decorating with the piping icing. So you don't have to make icing twice, you just make it one time, and then you split it into different bowls to make different colors or different thicknesses.
So, hello everybody, my name is John. As Clement said, I come from Minnesota. My mother is half Norwegian, my father is half Swedish. And so I got every holiday season we would have cookie marathons, and it's a real huge part of my history. And it's been really fun over the last year or so to really start to kind of dive into the wonderful world of Scandinavian baking. And most Scandinavian homes, you know, in our homes, it's kind of unusual for people, it's kind of the exception to the rule, for people to be cooking with primarily with whole grains. In most Scandinavian households, people will have at least a portion of spelt in just about anything that we would cook and bake with white bread. They'll also, and rye is a huge, huge part of their baking tradition. They also use lots of oats and also lots of barley. But today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a very traditional Scandinavian bun. And you can see it right here. These are called Santa Lucia buns. Although Scandinavia in general is kind of traditionally a very Protestant nation, and before Protestantism arrived in Scandinavia, they were very strongly Catholic. So what we're going to do is many Scandinavian baking recipes, which is kind of different than American and English baking. What they'll do is they'll start by melting lots of butter in with the milk that goes in the recipe. And I did that actually earlier today. I got a stick of butter and some milk. And also you'll see how yellow that is. That's because a real important part of this is that it's got a real big dose of saffron in it, which gives it a real beautiful and unique flavor. And you'll see as we look at the dough, let me give you a sneak peek here. As we look at the dough, it's got little threads of saffron in it. Very good. I use for a single recipe, it's a half a teaspoon, which is pretty good melt of it. So what I'm going to do, first thing that I'm going to do, so I melted warmed the milk, melted my butter in it, and now I'm going to get my dry ingredients ready. So I'm going to mix these guys up. I'm going to get my dry ingredients all kind of nicely incorporated. While that's happening, I've got 3 eggs, so I've got 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk. And some vanilla. Oh, and I can't forget my salt. Because baking without salt is just sad. And actually what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to put my milk in here. I'll make sure I get all those saffron threads. There we go. And I am going to add some of my egg milk until I get the texture that I need. There we go. And we're going to let that start to catch up. There we go. So if you can happen to see in here right now, it's kind of what we call a shaggy mass. And there's some flour moving around with it, some flour moving around with the dough hook. And we want that to all catch up into our mixture. Okay? So I'm going to pull it out here. There we go. Yeah, I can smell it. It's very, very good. So I, as often as not, like to knead by hand. And it's such a wonderful activity. Reminds me of my grandma.
Good way to get frustrations out.
Yeah, it totally is. Frustrations out, or just, it's kind of like, it's like having a Play-Doh PlayStation too. Everybody loves that, right? And what you're going to do is to knead it is you're going to push it along the table, give it a quarter turn, pull it back, and push it like this. And right now, do you see how it's kind of bumpy like this? And what we want to do is we keep doing this for about 7 minutes. And what will happen is it'll turn into a beautiful, smooth dough. It'll look kind of almost like mochi, you know, real smooth. That's exactly what we want, and that's our clue that we're in the right zone. So after we've done our kneading, then we're going to let it rise, and we call that proofing. So that's what this ball of dough will look like. You see, it's kind of like a little bit like mochi, kind of smooth and very smooth and kind of matte on the outside. And that will come out and looks really beautiful. So what we're going to do is this recipe. Usually these buns are made a little bit larger than I've made them, but I kind of like little bites of baked goods, especially because this dough, or this bun, it's kind of sweet. It's not it's not real sweet, really sweet. So a little bun is nice, and it's usually eaten with coffee. So rather than, the recipe makes 12, but we're gonna make 24. So, see our little saffron threads in there? Yeah. So what we're going to do, the first thing, what we're going to do next is we are going to shape these. I'm definitely going to need some help on this because this is a lot for me to do and talk at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start by rolling them into snakes, okay? And I think anybody who's ever played with Play-Doh knows how to do that. Now what I've found is that if you put the heel of your hand and your fingers down and then roll, what will happen is you'll shape the center of the snake to about the right thickness of what we're going to need. And then you just stretch out to the side to get a nice little snake like that. Okay, so that's our snake. So what we're going to want to do is we want those snakes to rest for about 5 or 10 minutes before we shape them into our Santa Lucia buns. Okay? Now this is kind of the fun part. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our little rolls, and I don't know if you guys can see this. We're going to roll from one end about a third of the way, roll from the opposite end, the opposite direction, until we get two little coils like that. Very easy, and then we put them together. Now, just keep in mind that this dough has a lot of energy. There's a lot of yeast in it. So you always want to make sure that you keep plenty of distance between your buns, okay? And there's one little last thing that we're going to do, is we're going to take a little raisin. We're going to pop a little raisin right into the middle of the S. So if somebody could help me with that, that would be fantastic. Fantastic, thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to talk about bûche de Noël, which is Yule log, and all the wonderful things that you can do with them. So a jelly roll cake is basically a Yule log. It's a little naked, but today we're going to sort of learn how to turn it into a Yule log. Has anybody here ever made a jelly roll cake? Okay. So the biggest frustration is usually that it cracks, because they tell you to use like a genoise, which is like a really not very buttery cake, and because it doesn't have enough fat in it, it cracks. So what you want to use when you're making jelly roll cakes or Yule logs are chiffon cakes. A chiffon cake is a purely American tradition. It's an oil-based cake that you fold a meringue into. So the recipe is really, really easy. It's egg yolks, oil. I use olive oil because it has a lot of fat in it. You're not going to taste it, but it gives a lot great texture. Sugar, and a little bit of water and lemon juice. And then I add flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt. And then I make a meringue. So I beat egg whites with a little bit of sugar, and I fold in the meringue. And then I spread it onto this cookie sheet here, and that's it. And it doesn't take very long to bake. It takes about 12 minutes for the whole cake to bake up. And it chills very, very quickly. So I'm not going to worry about that because we're going to trim everything. So you take your chiffon cake and you put it. But here, simple syrup is like 1 part water to 1 part sugar. And you're just going to soak your cake. Okay, to give it whatever flavor you want. You can use orange, like whatever you like to pair with whatever you're filling. So today I'm going to use chocolate mousse, but you can use buttercream to fill your jelly rolls, or traditionally for a jelly roll, you use jam. But I'm going to put my mousse here. Again, you can use whatever you like. Jam, buttercream. I like chocolate mousse because I'm French and I love chocolate mousse. All right, here we go. And I'm going to spread it, but I'm going to leave a little space empty there for rolling it up. So a lot of recipes for jelly roll cakes will have you like bake the cake and then roll it like in a kitchen towel. But if you're using chiffon cake, it's going to be soft and flexible enough to do this without having to do that. So I baked these like 4 or 5 hours ago. All right, parchment paper is really great, and if you can, buy it in flat sheets. We sell them in half sheet size at the front, rather than rolls, which make you crazy because they keep like unfurling themselves. Okay, so I'm going to use the parchment paper here. Make it as tight as you can, and it might get a little messy, but you really want the roll to be nice and tight. There we go, and just keep peeling back. Okay, so sometimes you want to pull back a little bit just to make it a little tighter. Do you see how my cake is not cracking? There we go, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these. Maybe this middle one here. Okay,
So when you pull it out of the freezer, how long do you let it sit for? Or do you just
just take it right out of the freezer. Yeah.
and cut right into it?
Yeah.
You're gonna use the
Don't worry. There'll be more scraps. Don't worry. All right, I'm just gonna trim this a little bit because it's dry, and you don't want any dry cake. All right, now you can soak it in wine. Whatever you need to do. And so this is supposed to resemble a log of wood, right? And so we're gonna do. I don't really love seeing this, so I like to turn it just so that little bit. There we go. Can be right underneath. And I'm gonna do that, and maybe some more. There we go. And lay it like so. There we go. Cool. Okay, you're gonna grab some chocolate frosting. Again, I'm gonna send you the recipe for this. Or you can make ganache. Anybody know how ganache is made? I know there's some people in this room who know what you use to make ganache. Chocolate and cream. You take chocolate and you chop it really finely, and then you pour cream over it that's warmed to melt the chocolate, and then you just let it set to the point where it's spreadable. Right? Let me see if the fork will work right now or if it's too soft. And very lightly, you don't want to touch the cake, you want to hover just above. You can just make some lines here to make this look very natural. All right, so this would be your very classic home-style Yule log. There we go. A little on the soft side. All right? And then you can go for gold with decorating. You can do a little rosemary. Here we are. A few little fresh cranberries. By the way, this is the first week that you can get fresh cranberries at the store. And then these are little meringue mushrooms. So I beat egg whites with a teeny bit of cream of tartar. And then I sifted in a little bit of powdered sugar and flour, folded it in, and I just put it in a bag, just like these here. And I put them on a cookie sheet. So this is something you would do the night before. And then little pistachio moss is cute. All right, so this is a classic simple Yule log. I'm going to show you how to make a big pillowy meringue. This is not even the one that you want to take